This is the book, Soul of Money. And I've taught this book several times. It's a prosperity book, and it's my very favorite prosperity book. And I have read a lot. In 40 plus years in ministry, you can't imagine how many prosperity classes I have taught and how many prosperity classes I've gone to. Because as you keep teaching, you expand, and your audience expands, and you want to share what you're learning. Yes? Good, good, good. So the soul of money is, for me, a bridge to a new way of thinking and living, not just about money, about life and the world we live in. The Soul of Money was written by a woman named Lynn Twist. And Lynn Twist is a famous fundraiser. She is an author, a mother of 3 children, married, hectic life. She was a professional fundraiser for big causes all over the planet. And she raised billions and billions of dollars for these causes, and had thousands and thousands and thousands of volunteers she trained. Now, she had a big work. She had a big job. And guess what? She wasn't happy. She wasn't happy. All because she felt she didn't have enough time. She had to keep adding to how many nannies she had because she traveled so much. They had a big house, but they needed a bigger house. And then they got a vacation house. And then they had to go on the vacation that was better than all the other people in their neighborhood. And then they had to get a bigger car, and then. And it was a vicious circle. And she was exhausted. She had a life-changing moment when she went to a workshop by Jack Canfield. Some of you know Jack Canfield, maybe not personally, but you've read his books and his workshops in California. And it was called, What is Your Soul Asking You to Do? She said, I just felt compelled to go. I didn't know why. And I got there, and oh my goodness. The work I am doing is good work, but it is not fulfilling my soul. So we're asking ourselves today, what work am I doing that is fulfilling my soul? So I would like you to begin to unwind or detach from the philosophy that you work to get money. Are you willing? Yeah. I work to get money. Paul's chuckling in the front row here. I work to get money. How about I work to fulfill my soul? Whole nother way of looking at life. Now, as she began this work, detaching from this large group of people she was involved with, traveling the world constantly. What would fulfill my soul? And she spent months and months processing. And she had heard of this organization called Project Hunger. I don't know how many of you have heard of the Hunger Project. And this is about saving and changing so that everyone on the planet has enough to eat. She decided this is what my soul is calling me to do. After years and years of doing this work, she decided to write a book because she knew how many of us are seeking to do our soul's work. She tells a story. I will be sharing over the next 5 weeks fantastic stories. She tells the story about being one of the first groups they were connected with is in the Amazon. And they are on the Amazon River where you cannot drive to or fly to. You can only go by boat. Now, this is tribes of people, thousands, ancient people, have not left this area of the world. They are on this waterway that is precious. And it has the cleanest water on the planet Earth. It goes so deep, no one's ever been able to measure it, and it goes so wide. It's monstrous. It's big. It's very big. Now, these people have lived there for thousands and thousands of years. And they are also in an area where there is great oil reserves, where there is rubber plants to turn into rubber. I mean, they are in this incredible bio area, environmentally pristine. There are thousands and thousands of plants there that you can't find anywhere else in the world. And they are committed to protecting it. So oil companies come knocking on their door. We could help you. Many large corporations who want to take that forest and deforest all the trees, we could help you. We could give you it starts with M and ends with Y. We could give you money. And what did they say? No, thank you. And these big corporations are confused. How could this happen? How could this happen? We'll give you more money. And what did they say? No. So Lynn Twist, her husband, and a group of people go to work with them on how to connect with corporations in a way that will benefit them, not take away from them. And there are a few young people that go into the real world, learn how to speak English, are the translators, and they have found a way to keep these tribes in place, keep that water precious and clean, keep the trees where there are, keep the animals protected, the plant system protected. And they have done this huge work without any, what starts with M, ends with Y, money. So going through this process, she learned about 3 toxic myths. Are you ready? No, I'm going to want you to really take these in. The first myth is the lie of insufficiency. The lie of insufficiency. And you can put that in a few words that says, there's not enough. There's not enough. There never was enough. There will never be enough. There's just not enough. What is there not enough of in your life or in the world? There's not enough time. There's not enough peace. There's not enough love. Wow. Wake up. There's not enough food. What did you say? All right. Reflection. Kind people. There's just not enough. Hand on your hip. I'm just saying, there's not enough. And there's not enough housing. And there's not enough formula. And there's not enough diapers. And there's not enough cars. And there's not enough houses. And there's just not enough. That's a toxic myth. And so the second toxic myth is more is better. More is better. Anyone here attached? Anyone have a collection? I've had a collection of books in my life as a minister. Ooh, I love a good story. I love books. I read books. I devour books. And I put them on the shelf. And when we moved from our big house into our smaller house, I gave away 11 bags of books. And then I gave away 12 more bags of books. I had a lot of books. And then I had the books at the ministry. That was just in my home. So We collect things. We collect things. When I remember being a young wife and moving across to Oklahoma, and I had 7 sets of china. I was like, I wasn't even 30 years old, and I had 7 sets of china. You get the free ones at the grocery store. You buy so much groceries and you get those, and then I had my grandmother's china, my great-grandmother's china, and then my mother's china she didn't want anymore. I had 7 sets of china. No, I let those go, took 2 to Oklahoma, of course the ones from the grocery store, and my wedding china. And do you know, when I moved again about 20 years later, I had 6 sets of china again. How does this happen? Do we accumulate? Anyone here? There's 3, 4, I know. Nobody's telling the truth right now. We accumulate, whether it's books or china or clothes, my husband tools, whatever it is, we collect. Socks. We've got someone telling the truth over here. Socks. We collect shoes, clothes. So, in that accumulation, sometimes it feels like a burden. Now, not always. Maybe we cherish what we've acquired or collected. However, where did that mindset come that more is better? Where did that come from? And it's a toxic myth. If I have more, pardon? Comes from the first myth. That's exactly right. The lie of insufficiency. You know what the last myth is? Here we go. It's always going to be this way. It's always going to be this way. Mm-hmm. Can't change it. Can't change it. This is just the way it is. This is just the way the world is. Now, when we go back to the idea of scarcity, what's the opposite of scarcity? Abundance and sufficiency. Enough. We have enough. Now, what's interesting is these myths are the complete opposite of what Unity teaches. Unity does not teach this. There's not enough. They don't teach more is better, and they just certainly don't teach that's the way it is. We believe in change. We believe that we can have enough. We believe that we can be in service to others and have more than enough. So what has to shift? I don't know about any of you if you grew up with some of these ideas. I did, yes. I inherited these ideas. And when I inherited them, I got to decide whether I kept them or not. And I kept them. And I became prisoner. It's like being in a jail, holding on to these ideas that are against my spiritual nature. Why do I do that? It's easier. It's easier to hold on to what everyone else is saying than to make changes. When Reverend Georgie and I were talking about this book months ago, this has been on our calendar, this book series, she said to me, this book changed my life. She said, I had always lived in fear that I would not have enough. Her husband had died, she was a single mom, and she was petrified. She wouldn't have enough. And when she read this book and the ideas of there is enough, she said, I've never been afraid again. I've never been afraid again. So what are we afraid of? That is the question. Starving? I don't know anyone in this room that has been starving. No. I don't know anyone in this world that isn't okay. Now, do lots of people need help? Yes. Do they need more money? Maybe not. They need support in their lives. And when I believe that there is enough and I can use my time, my energy, my love, my wisdom, my compassion, and help and change, that I am enough. Here's the real question. Am I enough? Am I strong enough, bright enough, conscious enough to align with the spiritual law of sufficiency. I was going through some old notes the other day. Constantly, I'm always going through old notes, looking for an idea, looking for one more idea, one more story. And you might remember this Bible story of the woman who had 2 sons, and her husband had died. She was a widow, and she didn't have enough money to pay her taxes. And in those days, this is a metaphor. This is a teaching story. In those days, the boys would be taken as slaves because she didn't have enough money to pay her taxes. She went to the priest. This is Bible a la Victoria. She went to the priest and asked, "What do I do?" He said, "What do you have? What do you have?" She said, "I have 1 bottle of oil. Take that bottle of oil, get all the containers you can, go in a room, close the door, and start pouring." Anyone remember the end of the story? The end of the story is all her neighbors, all her friends brought bottles. They went into a room. She started pouring and pouring and pouring. For over 2 days, the oil kept coming from 1 bottle. Now, what is that? To me, that's the metaphor of fear and faith. How many of us would not have even started? I only have 1 bottle. How could that do anything? Anyone here admit to that? Anyone admit to, I have 1 bottle of oil. What the heck is I'm going to do with that? That's not going to make 1 bit of difference. But that woman had faith. That woman was listening to the priest, her spiritual inner guide, whatever words you use, and she went and started pouring. Now, this story's come down thousands and thousands of years for us in Salem today, because we are willing to learn how to shift from that fear to faith. And it can be little things and it can be big things. But where do we start? Lynn Twist started with the Hunger Project. She started big. She started big. And I have incredible stories to tell you about the things she has done, the places she's been, and the lives she's changed. And it's because she is doing her soul work. So as we talk about these ideas and enter into meditation, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Think over the myths of scarcity, and which one of those triggers something for you? The myth of insufficiency, which one stands out for you? Maybe all 3. The myth of insufficiency, not enough. The myth of more is better. Or the myth, it's always been this way. So as Angela starts to play a little, begin to relax and move into that place of listening to your heart. What ideas, what thoughts have kept me imprisoned in believing there is not enough? Am I willing today to consciously expand my thoughts and feelings around money? Am I willing to shift and listen to the soul of my being, the whisper that's calling my name. Am I willing to move from lack to abundance in all things? What is my soul, your soul, calling you to be, calling you to do? Letting go of fear. And finding the comfort of faith. Today and every day I say to myself, there is more than enough. It's just a matter of distribution. There is more than enough. And where in my life am I willing to step out of the prison of lack? Where do I want to start? What way of giving or seeing or acting am I ready to begin today? I let today be an opening of the door. And I see a new view. I see more than enough, just as the story of the widow and the bottles of oil. Where in my life do I seek more faith, more creativity, more love, more growth, more understanding? And now as we sit in the silence for a few moments and listen, we breathe. Thank you, Universal Presence, the one power that lives and moves through me and you and all of life. Such a relief to let go of lack and the hold it has had on each one of us in our own particular ways. And now we've started the journey. We are peeking. We're just looking, beginning to look. How has this had a hold over me? And what am I willing to change? Am I willing to be the widow who has the faith to go into the room and begin to pour the oil? Because she believed there was more than enough. Ah, deep breath. Ah, move just very slightly in your chair, reconnecting with that body. When you're ready, just squint just a little bit. Just look just a little bit. Shrug those shoulders or shake out those hands. Readjust in your chair. And we allow that smile to come upon our face. That genuine, genuine smile. And so it is. That was a good ending. Period. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, everyone, today for being willing. Just being willing. I'm going to ask you to say with me, even if you can't even, you're just putting your little tiny toe into it. I believe in the law of sufficiency. Would you say that with me? I believe in the law. I believe there is more than enough.
I believe there is more than enough.
And things are changing. And that is the truth. That is the truth. See, and that's the truth. Yeah, you knew I wanted you to say that.